In a business world obsessed with complexity, what if the most powerful strategies fit on the back of a coaster?
Simplicity is everything. You can't write too much on a beer mat. You got to keep it simple.
Meet Mike Southon, the Beermat Entrepreneur. He champions radical simplicity, but his true superpower? Forging crazy connections, rubbing shoulders with the likes of Richard Branson, Bob Geldof, Ricky Gervais, and he believes that
Trust is the most important thing. Trust has to be earned.
but building genuine connections can feel forced. Sometimes that can come across really like ingenuine. How do you make it like more of a natural thing?
Tell the truth. Because if you tell lies, you get found out. If they like you, they'll talk to you.
So for those who hate networking or are introverts, what are the simple, practical steps to actually building that valuable circle?
See a group of people talking, you say, may I join you?
I've noticed from this conversation so far, you're very focused on being a connector.
Yes.
I actually think that's an extremely easy role to play,
Yes.
but is so valuable.
Learn the surprisingly simple secrets to mastering connections from a true networking legend. Next on Winning Friends. Welcome to Winning Friends, a podcast where we make friends with interesting entrepreneurs and business leaders over a coffee. I'm Logan Merrick, and this is my co-host, Dylan Hay.
And today our guest is a man who literally wrote the book on turning a simple idea into a thriving business, best-selling author of The Beermat Entrepreneur, Mike Southon. Mike, great to have you here at the table with us today.
Thanks, Dylan. Thanks, Logan. Great to be here.
Really excited to have you here today and to have this conversation together. I think I would love to start by talking a little bit about the book that you wrote, this Beermat Entrepreneur, and some of your various other books that you've put together around this topic too. Like, does this philosophy, this Beermat theory, do you think that still holds today in 2025?
Absolutely, because simplicity is everything. I'm an expert at what's called the elevator pitch. And I spend most of my time getting entrepreneurs to say less so they can get across their message really, really quickly. Because the Beermat metaphor, I mean, you could use a napkin metaphor, or used to be a cigarette packet metaphor, is you can't write too much on a beer mat. You got to keep it simple. And the genius of the book was not directly to do with me. I'd been lecturing at a university and everybody was saying you should write a book about that, about startups. So I thought, yeah, maybe I will. So I got my best friend from school, who's Chris West, who is a novelist and a philosopher, and I asked him, is there a book in that? He said, yes, there is, because it's a 50-50 effort. It's my content, but it's his intellectual model and his brilliant writing. So we were going to call it From Acorns to Oaks, but then a very clever guy says, well, what? That's a terrible name. Why don't you call it something else? And he said, well, what happens in the book? He said, well, these guys go to a pub these people go to a pub and then they turn and they get a beer mat out and they turn their good idea into a great business. He says, well, why not call it The Beermat Entrepreneur? And we both went, yes, and that was it. Now, it's a great title. We didn't think of it. And also that tagline I gave you, which is turn your good idea into a great business. Chris came up with that because you could hear the name and think, is it about beer mats? Is it about pubs? But it's, do you or do you not want to turn your good idea into a great business? And it's a big orange book and it's sold extremely well. So I'm now known as the Beermat Entrepreneur, but not everywhere. Like I did speak in Tehran once. And for reasons you can probably work out, I was the coffee shop entrepreneur. It was all in Farsi, but it went down really well. But it is a metaphor. It's about keeping things simple, which is the key to business.
Right. And this book was 2002?
It got published first, yeah.
Yeah. And so since 2002, the business environment and the world generally has changed a ton, right? So remote work, globalization, all these other AI, all these other things. Yet the book still continues to sell very well and is very popular still, right, to this day. Like, how have you changed the way that you think about not necessarily the philosophy, but the way that you coach other entrepreneurs or business people to implement this philosophy or these ideas, or how has that evolved over the last few years?
We do live in interesting times now, which is a quote supposedly from Confucius. It's either a curse or a blessing, depending on your point of view. If you're a pessimist, you've got every right to go back home and stay under the bedclothes. But I'm an entrepreneur, so it's like there is opportunity everywhere. There have always been these really weird dislocations. I mean, first I started working back in the 80s on what became the internet, the miracle of being able to send one email from one machine to another machine, which turned into the World Wide Web, of course. And everybody went mad, and it was all like, let's invest in companies because they just say they know about it. And I'm seeing this again with artificial intelligence, which is everybody thinks they know about it. I have a vague understanding of it. I've got some very technical people who do. Of course, everybody's saying, I'm now .ai, therefore give me $1 billion.
Right.
Which
every business is an AI business now, right?
Every business is an AI business. And when it first came out, all my content making friends, people who said, well, we're dead. ChatGPT is going to write articles, so I'll never work again. Then you see the articles that ChatGPT produces. It's not great for writing articles. It's good for research. What were the causes of the First World War? It's not that good, and it'll be a while before I'm replaced by a robot.
But you have interviewed, as well as the book and everything else, you've interviewed some really incredible CEOs, entrepreneurs, founders, people like Richard Branson, I saw, and many others. Everything that we've talked about so far can maybe to a solo founder, in some cases, seem a little bit scary of like, okay, I need to be really good I need to make everyone like me. I need to be good at selling. I need to be good at speaking. I need to be this, and this, right? These people that have made a success, business-wise, personal-wise so far, do you see any like common threads or traits amongst these people that maybe feels a bit more accessible to someone who's just starting their business for the first time? And it's like just them by themselves. Like, how do they do all of these things?
Okay, well, there's a word we use in the book, which is gumption. They've got to have that get up and go. They want to achieve something. They've got lots of ideas. It's that drive. If they've got no drive, go and work for a large company and earn a salary.
Yeah.
I really like Richard Branson. He's a lovely guy. I'm not saying I agree with everything he does, but he is tremendously good fun, and he has this drive. I mean, his main thing is resilience, because I'm sure you won't mind me saying that most of the Virgin companies have gone under. It seemed like a good idea.
Right.
My favorite one, and I thought this is a bad idea, just the title, was a bridal shop, Virgin Brides. And I thought, what woman is going to go to that because their friends will take the mickey? But, a lot of them haven't worked. But the ones that do work, he really cares about. And he cares about the people, and he wants to make it different. And he wants you to have an experience, a Virgin experience, that is better than, well, his nemesis was British Airways. And, we're less boring than them, or we're more interesting than them. So they're all interesting. I mean, I interviewed Bob Geldof, and, it's Bob Geldof who did Live Aid, and he was just extraordinary, very open and very, changed the world and whatever. And he's a power. There's something you can't describe about him. I mean, he's obviously a great front man for a band as well. But there's something about these people which makes them special. But you can be just as charismatic being an extrovert as an introvert. Now, when I taught at university, I said to the students, tell me next week who you want me to talk about. And you can probably guess who they asked for. The famous ones. There was Elon Musk. There was Bill Gates. There was Mark Zuckerberg. There was Larry and Sergey from Google. There was, a whole bunch of them.
And the good students want you to talk about.
Oh yeah, they said,
as well, right?
Yeah, we want to be like them. We want to be billionaires, And I said, who's your favorite entrepreneur? Some of them wrote Mike Southon, and I thought, you're not going to get a first just for that. But no, what I did first, and this was quite fun, going back to the foil comment, was I said, right, if I put pictures of them, I would say that's Elon Musk. Who are these people? And they didn't know any of them. So it's Elon Musk's brother. There was not yet Steve Jobs, but Steve Wozniak at Apple. There was Paul Allen at Microsoft. There was Jeff Bezos, his wife, now happily divorced. There was always somebody in the background. This may be you. You may be the foil person. Don't get all the glory. You probably get pretty fed up with them. But they all had a foil who made things happen for them, and they realized how to make that relationship work. So my best advice is find a foil, then start having an idea for a business.
How do people do that?
Oh, it's how do you find a partner? It works in life as well as in
Tinder.
That's one way of doing
speed dating events that you're organizing, right?
Well, you've got to get out there, and you've got to get to meet people, and it doesn't happen by magic, but I'm sure you both have. I met my soulmate in 1991, and we're great. And she's so completely different to me. People laugh. She's a monitor in our profile. And her thing is, she prefers to stay at home than travel all the time. She's come with me to Estonia. She can speak in publish if she wants to, but she'd rather not.
Yeah.
You find these people, but also, if you want to get sort of weirdly strange and spiritual, if you ask the universe, you'll get rewarded. So going out on Tinder to find somebody, I mean, I don't recommend, I've never been on Tinder, trust me. Well, I'll leave this in your capable hands, but it's the thing is, everybody's got a hobby or a pastime. Go and do that. You'll meet people who also like line dancing or dogs or whatever. And plus, there's money in all of these things.
I feel like that's the thing, right? Like a lot of people go to Tinder and, these dating sites, and they're trying to find someone. I feel like it's not organic, No. Where you're going to find the person that is, let's say, your soulmate is by going out and doing the things that you like doing, because you might find some like common ground with the person. But Bill Gates, Stephen Fry, you said
Oh, Stephen Jobs.
Steve Jobs.
Yeah, I can talk about Stephen Fry, but...
And Richard Branson. How do you meet all these people? I don't know them. 100,000 entrepreneurs can't be wrong.
The Winning Friends podcast is brought to you by eResidency of Estonia.
Because you didn't start your business to drown in paperwork, and Estonia gets it. That's why they built eResidency, a government-backed digital ID that lets you run your entire company online.
Set up an EU company in just 18 minutes, manage everything online with no travel required, and access the world's most advanced digital nation.
Just visit eresident.gov.ee. Details in the description below.
I have an excellent network, and but I work on that a long time. And I got to interview Richard Branson because I'm such a Beatles fan. I decided to become entrepreneur for the city of Liverpool, which they thought was a good idea. So I'm well connected with the Beatles industry now, which is fun. But they said we're thinking of bidding for a thing called the Global Entrepreneurship Congress, which is well known. It's run by the Kaufman Foundation. I said, oh, yeah, it's like the Olympics, only easier. You just say, we'll spend $500,000 to fly everybody in and put Paul McCartney on the front and we'll win, So we did. Then Kaufman suggested they got a big VIP person to open the day, get everybody talking about it. And they said, we're thinking about Richard Branson. What do you think? I said, well, great idea. If you get Richard Branson, can I interview him? They said, if you get Richard Branson, then you can interview him. It took me about 9 months, and I interviewed him 4 or 5 times before he committed to Liverpool. So I started interviewing him. I said, let me see if I got this straight. You started off outside your boarding school in a phone box selling advertising for a magazine that didn't exist. Yeah. So that went well. And then eventually we did get him for, it was, 13,000 people. But by then I'd done him 5 times. I had all the videos and I was literally being counted down from the podium to bring him on. And he knew me by then. He's, Mike, it's going to be great. And he knew what stories I was going to ask him. That's what happens. That's why I got Richard. And then the Bob Geldof one was a friend of mine booked him for an event. I offered to interview him on the basis of you need somebody who knows what they're doing. And I got Bob to talk. Because he arrived with a minder. It was all like, he's not sticking around for this. But he just opened up because I asked him the right questions. Something you're good at. You know which questions, you've obviously done your research. You know which questions to ask so that people can then shine.
One thing that you have talked about today and in the book too, and from some other talks I've seen, is the importance of, mentors. We touched on that a little bit. Now we're talking about this network building. And I noticed this is maybe a small thing for you, but when you arrived here today, you made a very concerted effort to find a way to remember
people's names.
People's names, right? Things like this. What other things can people do to help them try and build a better network? Because like at the beginning of a business or when you're starting something new, everyone wants to meet more people, whether it's your co-founder, like people to work on your team, people to sell to. I personally, even if you go to a big business event, networking event, I think if you just go up to someone and say the classic, like, hey, I'm Dylan, this is what I do, what do you do? It's like those conversations are so surface level to me that they pass very quickly. So like, how are you actually focusing on building these relationships once they've happened? Like you've had the introduction, you've met someone. How do you follow up? Like how do you do all of that? Because that's hard for people, right?
Okay, I will explain it. And this is a vital part of business. So the first thing is, I always say to people, how big do you think your network should be? And if you're Kim Kardashian, it's 27 million. For most of us, it's actually a thing called the Dunbar number, which is 150. Because the test is, if somebody walked in the place now, out of context, you're not expecting to see them, you kind of remember who they are and you like them. Anybody you didn't like, forget anyway. In the worst case, for a really shy person, it's 150. Their mum, their dad, their best friend, whatever. Let's say all of those people are all shy. That's 150 times 150, 22,500 people, 1 degree separated. Now, right now, before you start your business, it's your teachers, it's people who liked you and so on. And you just keep working at it. And it's always, we should have a catch up. I'll tell you about it when we get there. I mean, I've got lots of stories I can tell. So it's like, Mike, I don't want to do anything with him, but he'll tell a Beatles story. but you do have to work at it all the time. But it's this, you walk up to somebody not saying, oh, I'm this, I do that, I do the other. It's about listening. It's about empathy. It's about asking questions. And also, if you feel it's not happening pretty quickly. But again, people are going to Latitude. Let me tell you, they all tell me to find about the latest technology and to meet people. So they're going there. It's not they, I want to hide in a room and nobody talk to me. They're there for that, and you play the numbers game. And you will find your business soulmate. And mentors are so important because, okay, people define it differently. I say, look, I'm a mentor, not a coach. Now, a coach meets you every week. What do you think about it? Let's get you running a second fast day, and you charge for that. Mentors should always be free in my model. So if somebody spends time with me, I can give them the best advice I possibly can without any thought of reward. And my view is, well, if you contact me, of course I'll mentor you. You work to my time scale. And if you turn up late more than once, the offer is gone. And it's not a brainstorming session. I've got 9 ideas. You've got to tell me, I am here and I want to go there. And I'll give you the best advice I can from our book or whatever. And if I really, really like you, I might make an introduction. My only spreadsheet that I look at is my diary, because time is money. That's the actual currency of business. And I'm ruthless about, am I using my time well? I get very depressed with people who are pathologically late. In fact, if a client's like that, they're always letting you down. They're always late. Always a good excuse. Find someone else.
I've noticed you're very, I don't know if you think about this because maybe it's just normal for you now, but I've noticed from this conversation so far, you're very focused on being a connector.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I found in business situations or networking situations, I actually think that's an extremely easy role to play.
Yes.
But is so valuable, and people miss that a lot of the time, as long as you are staying true to your word and actually doing that follow-up, like actually connect this person with that person, or actually send this piece of information that you said that you were going to send, or something like this. Who have been some of the people more recently that have been like the best connections that you've made or learned from over the last few years?
Well, there's a guy here in Estonia called Heikki Haldre. And he's quite well known because he did a thing called Fits Me, which is an online fitting room. He's one of the best connected people in Estonia. Now, I interviewed him back in 2010. And then I literally bumped into him again when he's back. And the first thing he did, he's always doing this. You've got to meet. Here are a bunch of young entrepreneurs, Gen Z, spend a Saturday afternoon with them. Or do you want me to introduce you to so-and-so, so-and-so? And he does it. Now, when that happens, sometimes they don't respond. But all of them say, oh, if you're a friend of Heikki's, of course, I'll give you 15 minutes. One guy I interviewed I'll tell you the story about when I came to Estonia in 2008. My brother-in-law, who's now retired, was a commercial lawyer, but he was an honorary consul of Estonia because he'd done so much for the Estonians. And he knew everybody in Estonia. He said, you've got to come to Tallinn. Because I was writing for the Financial Times at that point, doing interviews. So he said, I'll fix you up some interviews. I said, great, can we do this in advance? No. We get here, I'll sort it out. I'm getting a bad feeling about this. But we literally, I'm not kidding, we arrive at the airport. And he knows everybody in the arrivals. Well, hello. And, this is Tumas. He'll give you an interview, so I've got to speak to so-and-so over there. So I said to this guy, so Tumas, what is it you do here in Estonia? He says, I'm the president. So it's Tumas Hendrik Ilves, who gave the best interview ever about being an e-country. And I interviewed, this doctor who put all the medical records online and so on. And so I did a whole bunch, and I wrote about Heikki and Fits Me then.
There's different strategies, right, for networking. And this one that you've shared is where you make a contact with someone and then you offer to help them in some way.
Yeah.
And I love that. But sometimes that can come across really like ingenuine, maybe if it's the wrong person doing it or something. I could imagine that when you do it, it's very natural. That's who you are. But when another person does it, it feels maybe orchestrated or canned. How do you make it like more of a natural thing?
Okay, 2 steps before that, they've decided in the first 2 minutes whether they like you or not. If they like you, they won't feel they're being sold to. If they do, it's, here's somebody trying to sell people. You pick that up quickly and let it go.
Yeah.
But if you've had a top introduction from someone like Heikki, they'll give you not 15 minutes, they'll probably give you half an hour. Because again, Heikki's kind of done his homework, which is you should speak to them because what you're doing, I think, should be interesting to them. There's no guarantees.
And so what do you do in those meetings? So you get introduced by Heikki to Thomas, who's the president of Estonia.
Yeah, or was the president, yeah.
Yeah, he was the president. So what do you do in that situation? Like in a meeting with that person, you've got an opportunity. What do you do in that situation?
Well, I have a perfect thing, which I say, would you like me to write an article for you? Now, I used to write for the Financial Times. I did that for 4 years. And I give that to them for free because it looks good for me that if I get to interview them again. But you see, everybody wants their story told by an outsider in a useful, concise, and helpful way. Because I never write bad articles about anybody. Not that I'm really angry about potholes, I don't do that. I'm a nice guy, I like to write nice things about nice people. See, building up trust is the most important thing. I mean, you're talking about people, somebody's trying to sell me something, I don't trust them. Trust has to be earned.
So you write an article to build the trust.
I write an article to build the trust.
But say someone else maybe doesn't write an article, but they might have something to give, maybe an introduction or something, but something to build trust.
It's, building trust. There's a phrase I use in a different context, which is try me, improve me, which is somebody gives a good story. I'm good at sales. I'm good at writing, da. You say, oh, interesting. Yeah, that sounds great. So, Mike, if you're so good at sales, so we're network, you could find me somebody who does forestry in the UK tomorrow. Oh, yeah, no problem. Then you see if they do. They'll be, well, I was going to, but then I got busy and I changed my mind. The trust goes down. Because I've got quite a strong, I know it sounds strange, but moral compass. I've seen some really bad things along the way. Nasty people doing nasty things. And I used to fret about this. Why are some people so horrible? So I thought, well, I will study moral, social, religious systems. What's a good person or a bad person? How does this come about? And then, so I studied them all. I just find it interesting. And there's 3 rules in everything. And you'll laugh when you hear them. First one is treat people like you want to be treated. Of course we do. But then we've all seen somebody shout at a hotel receptionist because they've screwed up. Nobody wants to be spoken to like that. They need to get over themselves. Second one is help people, but don't get broke in the process. Don't always do charity work. You've had a good week. You've done a load of podcasts. You can do a bit of free stuff for somebody or whatever. Help them out. A bit of mentoring. Third one is my top tip for sales, which is tell the truth. Because if you tell lies, you get found out. You never get repeat business. You're forecourt selling. So if you have those principles, what you call your wealth will go up. Not your money. Your money's however you've done. It's in your spreadsheet, whatever. You've got more this week than the last week. Wealth, as a lot of people say, is what you'd have left if suddenly all your money vanished. So let's say somebody steals it or you're stupid, you lose it. I like to think that people say, oh, poor Mike, he's a bit of an idiot. But tell you what, he's good at sales.
He knows some cool people. So,
he knows some cool people.
He'll be all right.
We'll get you back on your feet by giving you things you can do and da. But again, all my network, let's say it turned out I did do a bad thing or I did do a bad thing. Suddenly, my network would vanish immediately.
Yeah.
The phone calls would not be returned. I'm a showman like you guys. So a lot of my stuff is face-to-face, live, at shows, conferences. I've been a performer all my life. It's the smell of the grease paint and the roar of the crowd. And also it's very important in the first 5 minutes when you're performing, whether it's just a small group or a large group, to keep their attention. The best story I ever heard about that, well, because I've played in bands all my life, and the first number's vital. If you get the first number wrong, they'll all leave. There's a guy who's still around now called Pete Best, who was in the Beatles for 2 years. He was in Hamburg. And there's 5 of them. And they're told to make a show, keep people drinking, play rock and roll, Mac show. And Pete told me that if it, at 2 o'clock in the morning in this strip club, they see a bunch of sailors going, oh, it's getting on a bit, shall we think about leaving? Wherever they were in the song, they switched to a song by Ray Charles called What Did I Say? It's got a great bit. It goes, dan, 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 dan. And they went, oh, I love this one. More beers. So you've got to capture their attention quickly and explain why you're there. And if they want to leave, they can. But if it's maybe I'll give it another 5 minutes, then it's pure stagecraft. What do you say when to keep them interested? And it's a combination of here's a funny story and also here's a top tip. If you're selling, you've heard a lot of it, you need your elevator pitch. Let me just explain the elevator pitch. Then you've got to leave them with an outcome, which is anyway, it's been lovely talking to you. I'm not going to overrun. You never do in my world because that's bad news. It's like, well, maybe you want to try this. Not as gross as buy my product or do more mentoring is one I would say. You pass it down and you've been mentored by some great people. All the famous entrepreneurs said, I had some fantastic mentors. And if you pass that down to the next generation, you will live respected and die regretted, as some people say, which is our dream, really.
When is the right time to say you're an entrepreneur? When is the right time to start mentoring someone?
We can all mentor anytime we like. And obviously the extrovert mentoring is talk to me. I'm going to introduce you to somebody as a favor and they can give you a sanity check. Or it could be you're writing some software. Maybe I can give some advice or, the right microphone to use. And that's more like a maker, there's a technical, podcasting, there's a science to it now. Well established, there's some microphones you do and what you do and how long should it be and so on. Then another great mentoring is, how do you make money at this exactly? That's a monitor in our model, which is what are the margins, what are profits, whatever. I work a simple model. I charge up front. And I always seem to have money at the end of the month because I don't understand money really. But I've got a simple model. I speak for a living. It's great. And I have sponsors and I don't need to borrow money, which,
But you don't charge for mentoring, right?
Oh, no. Mentoring is always free. And I never invest in companies. It's like, will you invest in my... No, I don't because I want to tell you what I really think, not, I can make some money here under this person.
And do you have a mentor?
Oh, I have thousands of them. For every single thing that I do, I've got some mentors, even public speaking. I've got, I go a lot to comedians because they understand this. And there's different types of comedy you can do. You could do, the easiest comedy is telling stories. And any corporate could do that. Oh, funny thing happened on the way here. And they've got a good story. Richard Branson, that's the story. You can try gag comedies, it's called, telling jokes, but not in a corporate environment, unless you're a professional, because it'll go horribly wrong. But I put a bit of that because it's about timing. If you get the timing right, you'll get the same laugh as that famous comedian. Then there's improv, which is the hardest one of all, which is dealing with strange stuff coming. And you see people doing it. Who are you? Is that your girlfriend? Where are you from? You have to be match fit to do that. And I got one of the best improv comedians in the world, a guy called Neil Malarkey. He's one of the founders of the Comedy Store in London. And he does it every Sunday. And he did a double act with Mike Myers once, and they used to do improv. The ability to think on your feet and react to something good or bad to the general gaiety of the audience. Because, some places are, quite hostile. I've been a stand-up comedian, and they're there to try and catch you out. And if you can't cope with that, forget comedy.
Do you think all founders should try improv or comedy
Absolutely.
at some point?
Oh my God. Every business person on earth should learn improv from somebody like Neil Malarkey, because the art is saying yes and rather than yes but. The saying yes, he does a lot of corporate work around that.
So it's like rolling with the punches, basically.
Well, it's rolling with the punches, but also listening and reacting to. I love those comedies, where they're improvising. I watch them all the time. And when I can, I get proper mentoring from somebody who knows what they're doing. I've been trained in gag comedy by, just for short, Ricky Gervais, because I know him.
Really?
Oh,
another one. I love this.
Well, Ricky Gervais is fascinating for various reasons.
Is he nice in real life?
He is fabulous. And I know him quite well.
Is he nice?
No, he is nice. No, he makes a big thing of I'm horrible. Now, I met him originally when I'd sold a company. Well, my friends and I had sold a company. So I thought I'd play in a band again. So I became a 70s character, Mike Fab Gear, with an afro and everything. And I started playing colleges in the UK. And it went down really well because I had a great band and doing covers. And he was the entertainments manager at University College London. He booked me 5 or 6 times. Then I didn't see him for 25 years. Then I bumped into him in Hampstead. And, it was it's Mike Fab Gear. And I'm like, it's Ricky Gervais, same girlfriend, Jane. And I bump into him all the time. He's not my friend. I don't go drinking with him, but he'll get me a ticket for something if I need it. But his stuff is so well thought through and clever. Not everybody likes what he does, but not everybody likes anybody.
Do you like?
Yeah, I like him.
His stuff is so clever and well thought out. Because his program Afterlife, did you see that?
Yeah.
Now, some of that was filmed near our house, I'm pleased to say. The bit where he's walking down the street and these 2 young men want to mug him, and so he hits them with a can of dog food. That was just by my house.
That was your idea, right?
No, it wasn't. No, the great story is I turn up in Hampstead where I live, and they're filming. I say, "This is Ricky Gervais's Afterlife." So, oh yes, don't talk to him. No eye contact. I'm like, I'm okay with Ricky. So I just stood at the end of the road, and he came over and had a chat with me. And he's the loveliest man, but it's all cleverly thought through about whatever issue he's talking about. Everything he says has been thought through and battle hardened on tour. He's got this extraordinary model now, as you probably know. He'll tour the biggest venues in the world and sell them out on his own. And everybody likes what he does. A couple of people probably walk out, but if you haven't seen a Ricky Gervais video, of his stand-up, then,
I've seen all of them.
Well, there we go.
And you also can't be that successful if everybody likes everything that you do. There has to be someone that doesn't like.
I think he's found his groove.
Yeah.
And he's found his not groove.
Yeah. And you've said a few times throughout this conversation today, like making people like you, or at the beginning of a relationship, making someone feel comfortable with you, is clearly very, very important. I know some of the work that you do that we talked about a little bit throughout this conversation too is helping entrepreneurs from Estonia, for example, expand into other markets, specifically the UK as well. Like so this making people like you is a big thing. Some of the other things we've talked about throughout the conversation are super important there too. Like, is there any other advice that you can share, whether it's specifically for the UK or even just international founders trying to build and grow their networks or build a business in a new country that's not home? Is there anything else that you think, hey, this is one thing that's really important, you should try and do this or focus on this?
Well, first, make it work in Estonia, because in the clean tech model, it is a brilliant model here. Because when I first started writing about Estonia, it was all let's have everything online. That's another server. Whereas the clean tech stuff is, the model is somebody will do something in a laboratory and it works. Oh, well done, bravo, here's a prize, then a bit of an angel investment. Then there's more money. You're scaling up an industrial process, which I used to be a chemical engineer. Is not rocket science.
Is there anything you haven't done?
Well,
Stand up here.
I wasn't a very good chemical engineer, that I didn't continue with it. No, it's the idea of scaling up an industrial process, because at any point it can fail, but if it grows, because the best example of that is Up Catalyst, where Gary Ebb decides there's a way of getting carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and make a big lump of carbon out of it. So we can grind that up and turn it into graphite for batteries. We don't have to buy it from the Russians or the Chinese. So there's a picture, there's a picture of him holding a lump of carbon. And I wrote this up on the basis of, hooray, the Estonians are solving everything, including global warming. Prototype it first here. Then if you want to go abroad, then there's a lot of research work going, which is the UK a good idea or not?
Well, this is another good example of providing value in a relationship up front, right? I think that's been pretty clear in most, whether it's networking, business building, the relationships that you do build. If you can provide some kind of value like this up front, you're going to stand a much better chance than if not, right?
So you get someone to like you and then provide value.
Yeah.
Then provide value, and then you just think, and then it's about your own identity as well. Right at the beginning of the process, who am I? And I've got a lovely test on my website, which you must try. I know what you're going to come out as, where the model is, people are either naturally a magnet, a maker, or a monitor. So it says, the model is, imagine I'm your fabulous boss and I want to reward you for working so hard. So next week, big job coming up, but there's 3 choices. Pick one, the one you want to do, not the one you have to do. Then it says, congratulations, you're a magnet maker or a monitor. That's a free test on my site. Not even a sign up on it. Because if you understand yourself, we're all magnets, right? So how do we make money out of makers? We
sell makers.
We will sing the praise of somebody who's got this most amazing solution for, whatever it is. And if it's easy to sell, we know we're winning. Everybody's buying it. If it's a struggle to sell, we say we're having trouble selling it. Then finally, a monitor says, let's improve the margins, which is it works. But, if we use a slightly cheaper plastic or we do that. So going abroad, now the way you do it is you research the market. I can help with, let me see if I can get you a customer in London, pull a favor in £10,000. If they won't do that, I'm getting a bad feeling about it. Then what you need to do is you need to be established in the company. But all that means is we have a customer, a serviced office, we have a technical person here, and there's a salesperson, because I'm doing work in insurance at the moment. And the insurance business there's only 150 companies, all based within 2 miles of each other in London. And I've got a friend who knows everybody, so I'm trialing that. Because people take you seriously when you live there. I'm trying to give the illusion I live in Estonia. I don't quite, I might as well. But I started an office up in America for our company that we built on this internet technology. And I spent a year deciding where to go. And there's a big choice. Silicon Valley, where we had a lot of interest, and Boston. We thought Boston's closer. Also, I had a good relationship with a company that's now no longer with us called Data General. They were our first customer. But the difference, when I had a business card with a Boston address on it, because people love you while you're here, and then they forget you 10 minutes later. But it was like, well, I'm coming next week. Let's follow up.
I think from this conversation, there's been so many interesting points I would love to continuously follow up on. I feel like you're a man that has lived many different lives.
Chemical engineer and bands.
But unfortunately, I do think we will need to start wrapping up the conversation soon. We have a few traditions here on this podcast that I would love to go through with you. So we have a few quick fire questions that we will ask. We also have this process that we are starting now where we take a coffee cup from our wall here and we have every guest write on and sign this coffee cup. But maybe let's go through a few of these quick fire questions as well. So thank you. Yeah. What's your go-to order from a cafe?
An Americano with some cold milk on the side.
What's your go-to business book not written by you?
Well, I'll give you 2 for different reasons. One is, we talk about lean all the time in our book, whether we call it that or not. So the Lean Startup by Eric Ries is fabulous. It could be a Beermat book. I mean, you would never do that. Probably the one that I really admire is Who Moved My Cheese?
Oh, I love this book.
Oh, really? I've never heard of this.
This was one of the first management books someone told me to read. You read it in half an hour,
Yep.
maybe not even that. It's really
Spencer
simple.
Johnson.
Yeah.
Because I can explain the book to you. You can buy it as well, which is once upon a time there were some mice and they used to go and cheese at the same place every day. One day the cheese was not there. Some mice says, we'll stay here and wait for the cheese to come back. Other mice went off and found some new cheese. The end. So, entrepreneurs are obviously in the second thing, but you see, that simplicity is genius.
Yeah, this is a really good book.
Well done. I never met him, but
we actually give this to all of our managers as like a suggested reading because it's so simple and straightforward to.
Do you feel like I still need to read it?
Yeah, I think it's fun.
Yeah,
it's good to read.
Yeah.
Whilst you're signing, I'm going to ask you one other question. Let's see if you can do both, and then I want you to show us what you put on the cup afterwards. What is a go-to like sales myth or piece of advice that someone gives that you want to bust? Do you think is like bad advice, bad idea?
Salespeople are liars. I mean, you meet them occasionally, you work that out pretty quickly, you don't buy from them. A good salesperson is a good listener, always tells the truth, and often says, no, I don't think we're right for you. There's got to be an ethical base to what they do. And it's a myth. I mean, good salespeople have been doing it for years, said, well, I realized that in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Even when I was selling encyclopedias or whatever it was.
What's a web page every business owner should visit?
And it can't be yours.
And it can't be ChatGPT.
That's a very good question. I'll say the BBC.
Really?
Yes, because...
That's a curveball.
Yeah.
Well, it's... The BBC, I mean, people complain about the BBC, but my God, the work they put into that is very good. And the journalist quality is extremely high. I look at the BBC every day. And, some people say it's too left-wing, some people say it's too right-wing. The truth is somewhere in between. But that's my number one go-to.
Do you think this is a British thing? Because I also, dude, I do not look at news very often at all. However, I do have the BBC page like bookmarked on my laptop. Maybe it's a British thing.
Okay, and I've cheated. It's a Beatles quote. It's written by Paul McCartney. It's what Paul McCartney closes his show with every time, which is, it's a song called The End. And it just says, and in the end.
Oh, you have to sing it.
And in the end, the love you make is equal to the love you take. It's karma.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Well, these have been like really interesting conversations and insights. So thank you for coming to visit us today and sharing this with us. I think we can wrap up this Winning Friends conversation. I've been Dylan Hay.
I'm Logan Merrick.
I'm Mike Southon.
And you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to subscribe and don't miss the next one.